Hello, everyone, and welcome back into the Harold Katz podcast. I'm Akiba Poppers. Warren Clickman will be here shortly. This is season 2, episode 9 already of the
Oh,
podcast. I know time flies, and we have a very, very special guest today, which I will let Coach introduce.
all right. First of all, Happy New Year. And for those who celebrate it, my New Year was in September, but that's okay. For everybody else, Happy New Year. And for a special guest, somebody who I wanted to talk to publicly for a long time is one of the all-time most connected people in the history of basketball, Coach Herb Welling. Herbie, how you doing, brother?
I am doing good. Happy New Year. I know that you guys do your thing in September, but start 2024.
That's exactly right. We're still here. We're in America, so it's
Or-
2024.
and
World, so it's 2024. So we all have to talk the same language. Herbie, I wanted to introduce you to people because most people won't know who you are who watch this.
right.
So I'm going to introduce you. Why don't you do this? Why don't you tell everybody how you started in basketball, and then take us to 5-star, and then stop. And I have questions for you.
Okay. Well, I started. I got into basketball probably 1970s the first time. I loved the 70 Knicks, and I loved the Henry Bibby and the Bibby's bunch at UCLA.
Right.
So we watched. I at my friend Jeff Walsh's house. His dad, Jan Walsh, introduced me to basketball. So we got to watch. We'd always go over, and I'd spend the night on Saturdays for sure to watch UCLA play, and then on Sundays watch the ABC. I think was doing the games with Bill Russell and Keith Jackson,
Right.
and watched the Knicks and the Celtics all the time with my grandfather. He was a big Bill Russell fan, and the Knicks. I love the Knicks. It just seemed like it was just they knew how to play, and one of the greatest passing teams ever. And
Yeah.
and then my dad was stationed at Fort Carson, and there's a young officer at Fort Carson that used to play on the post team, who's got a guy named Mike Krzyzewski. So I'm one of the few guys that's seen Coach K and Coach Pop play basketball. I saw him play basketball.
Right.
So at Fort Carson, I was able to see um, the base team, the base team, I'd call it for better lack of words. But they used to have a huge tournament with all the bases, and Fort Carson hosted it. So you get to see all this great military basketball. And
Who was better, Coach K? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Mike
Who's better, Coach K?
Krzyzewski,
Pop?
but yeah, Mike Krzyzewski and Greg Popovich.
Who was better?
Yeah. So
Who,
that's huh?
who was better?
Who's
Who was
better?
better?
I say they're both the same type of guy players. They were both very heady, and they played really really hard. Neither
Right.
one of them was a tremendous scorer or shooter, as I can remember. You know,
All right, go ahead. So I interrupted you. So you're watching them
yeah,
the
yeah.
base.
So we're there at Fort Carson in the 70s. My dad was stationed, and my dad I got to a lifelong friendship with Butch Lee. I saw play in 19 I, the year they won the national championship. I got to see him
77.
his best game at the Air Force Academy. He had 35 points before the 3 point
Herbie,
shot.
Herbie,
Yeah.
is that 77?
Yeah,
Is that
77 Marquette
right?
team. I saw the national championship team that year, and I got to see, and then through that time in the 70s, I got to see the Denver Rockets and the Nuggets of the ABA move to the
Sure.
NBA.
Right.
So I get to see those games when it was still affordable. I don't know how my mom would have afforded things now that it's all based on all the sports are based on greed now. And I don't know how my mom could have afforded to take me and my brother to games nowadays, that had been like her life savings at that time. After
You're
my
streaming,
parents'
Herb.
divorce,
Herb,
I
nowadays you're streaming.
yeah,
Nowadays, stream it. That's how you afford it. You
yeah.
watch a stream,
Yeah, no,
right?
but in person, my mom made sure that I got to see David Thompson a lot, and because I love DT and I love Dr. J. So when the Dr. J would come to town for the once a year, my mom always got us there,
Yeah.
and so I love Dr. J. Dr. J was the not. I believe that if we didn't have Dr. J, we wouldn't have basketball today, along with Magic and Larry Bird. It was a
Okay,
drug,
stay right there, Herbie.
huh?
Herbie, stay right there. Stay right there. Stay right there.
Okay.
You're saying because it was a drug infested league, is what you're saying.
Yes, yes.
And Dr. J cleaned it up. But what is this? Okay, so let's. I'm gonna stop you and take you off a path here because I know what you. So let's go to Dr. J for a second. I believe Dr. J is the next version of Connie Hawkins, who's the next version of Elgin Baylor. Is that fair?
That is fair. Yes.
And Michael Jordan is the next version of Dr. J.
Yeah.
In other words, they all kind of without Elgin, there's no Connie Hawkins because he'd have never seen
Right.
without Connie Hawkins, there's no Dr. J.
Yeah.
And without Dr. J, there's no Michael Jordan.
Yeah. But
Right?
I believe that Dr. J was the nicest, classiest guy after games when
Yeah.
the players were still accessible. Dr. J would hand out his shoes after the game. He was kind. He was kind. He was
Right.
a deserving of all he was to us in the 70s, he was the guy in
Was the guy.
in Dr. J. He had you got his tennis shoes or whatever, his Converse. He was, but he was so nice. And then later on, he always remembered who you were.
Yeah.
Uh, and
So Herbie,
yeah,
so hold on. So um the leagues, both leagues, ABA and NBA,
yeah,
are both infested.
right,
Both infested, known as a marijuana junkie league, and
right,
nobody's watching. And Dr. J keeps it afloat. Probably, I mean, not probably. He merged the two leagues
right,
because I remember Red Auerbach saying he wouldn't be much in the NBA, which was akin to Dennis Rodman saying Larry Bird just be a regular guy,
right.
if he was back. But like I think Red Auerbach said Dr. J wouldn't be able to get away with all that stuff in the NBA. And he basically saved the league. And then Magic and Bird show up. That's where you're going,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And then I was blessed when my parents got divorced. I moved right across the street from my high school basketball coach, and he had an incredible basement full of old films. Okay, films, not videos,
Eight,
not
eight
VHS tape,
millimeter.
film, and
Yeah,
books. He had
right,
every book on basketball that you could have on basketball. Anything teaching, coaching. He had these
right,
films and he had films that I'd watch of anybody. He had these Coca-Cola films with uh, D- Iba, Dean Smith, Pete Newell.
right.
Yeah, and all these tapes.
Is that where you first see reverse action?
Yeah, that's where I first see all that, and coach talks about my high school coach would just let me, and I'd go there like on Saturdays, and I'd spend all day in the basement, his basement by myself, and I put
Were
these.
you what? Herbie, were you watching film or were
Yeah,
you
I was
reading books?
watching film or reading the books he had.
Hold on now. So when you're watching film, did you know what you were watching like you would today?
No, it was just introducing it to me at a
Right,
I was 15 years old. So
right,
I'm just getting into, I knew I wanted to coach since I was 12 because of watching uh Red Holtzman and then Red on Round Ball and
right,
John Wooden, of course, because of UCLA, and Bobby Knight. Um,
right.
those
So,
those those guys, okay. But my high school coach, and I didn't know it now. I wish I would have known it now that I back then. My high school coach had a mentor and a friend, guy named John McClendon.
sure. Famous John McClendon.
The famous John McClendon, who was such a humbled uh
Yeah.
thing. I did, so you got the
Terrific,
yeah,
terrific basketball
yeah,
coach.
the father of fast break basketball. And I didn't
Yeah.
even know that, he wasn't a self promoter or whatever like that, but he was influenced my high school won 2 state championships, and it was because of John McClendon.
So
His
did you,
relationship with my high school coach.
right, so you start playing high school, you say you won states twice?
Yeah, no, they won state. My high school had won state in 71 and 73.
Right,
So because of John McClendon's relationship with my high school coach. So,
right. So hold on, Herb, one
mhm.
sec. I got to, some reason I lost video. I don't know what happened to me, Pop, but you can see me, right?
I can see you.
Yep, we still see you, Coach, and we hear you.
Sad. Uh, I wish better for both of you. Um, okay. So Herbie, um, so let's go to 5 star. When did you get involved with 5 star basketball?
In
Did
late
you, wait. Did you play in college or no?
No, I didn't. No, I went to Northern Colorado
Right.
for a
Okay.
year, and I was a part of the basketball program. I was a manager there for my high school coach's brother, who's the head coach at the University of Northern Colorado. So I was
You
there a
were
year,
you were
and
the Dusty May. You were the
yeah, and,
Dusty May.
and they're from my high school coach uh played in the Final Four in Indiana with the legendary, the Milan. So he knew
Sure.
Bobby Plump. He knew Bobby
Right.
Plump and all the guys. He
Well,
knew Oscar.
hold on, Herb.
Yeah,
Hold on. Let's explain. Milan High School was the basis for the movie Hoosiers.
correct.
Bobby Plump was Jimmy Chitwood in the movie, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I later on, a few years ago, I met Bobby Plump, and we stayed at his restaurant to watch the NCAA basketball tournament. Me and my best friend, we
Right.
watched it, and we got to know Bobby Plump.
Good man.
Hear the stories of that, but my high school coach was fortunate, play against Oscar Robertson, Bobby Plump, and and my high school coach's teammate ends up being a famous football player and basketball player at Purdue, and his name was Lamar Lundy, who played
For the
for the
Rams.
Los Angeles Rams, your
That's
favorite
right.
football
He
team.
was part of the fearsome foursome. Everybody,
So yeah,
nobody
yeah.
knows
So my high
about.
school
It's like
coach,
Deacon Jones. It's like Deacon Jones, Merlin Olsen, and
yeah,
everybody forgets Lamar Lundy and Rosie Greer, and everybody forgets Lamar Lundy. Great
yeah,
player.
yeah, Lamar Lundy that my high school coach was uh, teammates with, and Lamar
Right.
Lundy was great in the Big Ten in football and basketball.
So Herb, so now take me to 5 star. When do you get involved
Okay,
with 5 star?
so I'm out. I'm in the Air Force, Harold, and I keep reading about um, Howard Garfinkel because I used to get a publication called Eastern Basketball and
Sure.
Basketball Weekly and Basketball Times. So I was following Garf all this time, and Garf in 1984 was in Sports Illustrated. The camp was in, so I was always very, very interested in that. I helped send kids to while I was in the Air Force to camp, and then I got involved in 1989 and was able to go to Radford at that time, and then
Right.
me and Garf get to know each other through Eddie Schilling. Eddie Schilling was
Sure.
my biggest supporter. Ed Schilling, he to me, there's no Herb Welling story without Ed Schilling.
Right. So,
And
so you and Garf, so you're Garf's right-hand man. When does that happen?
that happens. Eddie Schilling suggests that in the early 90s and hooks me and Garf up. He said we'd be good for each other. And he was like, if Garf would have had a son, it would have been Eddie Schilling.
Well,
Um,
so,
so
so let the people know some of your, well, let's do this first.
okay.
Your 5 favorite coaching counselors that ever came to 5-star.
Okay. It'll be Hubie Brown, Jerry
Yeah.
Wainwright, Bob
Right.
Hurley,
Sure. Right.
Mike Fratello, Bobby Knight.
Yeah. And so,
And then but the list could go on. I mean, there's so many other great guys, you know.
right. Cal's over there, right?
Chuck Daly, uh,
Right.
Dick
One Cal,
Vitale,
one,
Dick,
one
Dick
Cal, one of his boys too.
yeah.
One Cal, one of
There's
his
no,
boys
there's
too.
no, there's no Dick Vitale if it wasn't for Howard M. Garfinkel.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think a lot of people nowadays, well, I mean, in basketball they do, but I don't think people who are fans who I don't think a lot of people know what Garf did for basketball. You want, I
Garf
mean,
was the most. He'd have to be in that top. I say he's number one because I'm biased, but he'd have to be top 2 or 3 guys of the impacting basketball ever.
does that include Sonny Vaccaro, or you don't
Yeah, yeah,
think
Sonny.
Sonny's?
Yeah, and I'd say it was those guys, and they worked together at the beginning. They had no
Yeah.
issues with each other. They had no issues with each other. Here and there, but I think those two did more to
Who?
promote kids and help kids out.
Right. And who's your 5? Okay, let's do this. Let's go to your 5 best, but best at camp, not best ever.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The five kids at camp that you saw, they could be famous or not, and you just went, "Whoa, who's that?" Not Garf's, yours, and then we'll go to Garf's.
Okay. So my guys, I would say that impressed me was Stephon Marbury, uh, Vince Carter,
Right,
Rip Hamilton.
right.
Um, let's see who else I would say.
How
Uh,
about late? Was late
huh?
one of them? How about late? Is late one of them?
Who? Leitner. Oh, Christian
Yeah,
Leitner and Grant Hill.
yeah.
Those are my guys. I get there's so many of them.
Who's the best of those 5 though? The ones that you just went, "Oh my god." Who is the best?
Who's the
Grant?
best at that? Okay,
Of those guys that you just mentioned, was Grant the best?
yeah, Grant's the best. Grant, if he doesn't have injuries, he's unreal.
He's Yeah, I think Grant's one of the top 5 players ever played the game. If,
Yeah,
if a healthy, he as like I've always said, Lenny Bias is the greatest what if in sports history.
yeah,
Uh, uh, with I mean, you could say Marcus Dupree, but it's
right,
still Lenny Bias. Lenny
right,
Bias is the greatest what if in basketball. The second greatest what if in basketball
yeah,
is Grant Hill, because for like his first 6-7 years, he has given that league the business, including Michael Jordan.
yeah,
I mean, Scottie Pippen's checking him on every time they play each other, and he made Scottie his bitch. He killed Scottie Pippen.
Okay,
Like,
but what
numbers
I
against
say
Scottie
too is Grant Hill is just as good a person as he was a great basketball
Yeah,
player. Great person. And I know personal stories. My wife knows personal stories of what Grant Hill did for a former teammate from Duke. Okay.
yeah.
So me and my wife know that. We're Grant Hill. Grant Hill in his book, his first chapter in his book is thanking Howard Garfinkel and the 5-star basketball camp.
How about that? Which is kind of incredible
The
because
first chapter, it's all
yeah, I
about,
heard.
yeah,
It's kind of incredible because his father's Calvin Hill, so
yeah,
he could get whatever he wants.
yeah,
His father's Dallas royalty,
yeah.
and he'd get whatever he wants. And he ends up doing something like that. So
Mhm.
where does Michael Jordan fit into this equation? Because he wasn't all that when he first came to camp, or he was, or what?
No, no, when Michael Jordan had started, as Garth would tell me, Roy Williams wanted to see how good Michael Jordan had done really well at their camp at Carolina, and
Right.
Roy Williams calls up Garth to see they want to see how he'll do nationally. Michael Jordan's only scholarship offers at that time was like the Air Force Academy and then Carolina, of course. And Michael Jordan's dream school was UCLA.
Who
People
never
don't
showed
know
any
that.
interest in Michael Jordan?
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
never showed any interest in Michael Jordan?
No. And so Roy Williams gets him to be a camper worker. So you do 2 weeks, you work you work as a camper worker in the cafeteria and you do
Right.
that and you
Right.
get half off. So Jordan was there 2 weeks at camp from what Garth tells me, and he blows up. And so uh, Dave Kreider, who used to be around the camp,
Sure.
made
Sure.
the biggest mistake. Garth told him, "You're going to make the biggest mistake of your life by not having Michael Jordan in the top 500," which Kreider didn't do in the Streets and Smith. He said it'll be the greatest mistake you're going to ever make. This is the best player ever at the camp, and
So
Kreider
Garf,
didn't put him in.
so Garf ends up being right.
Yeah. Okay. How about this? The scout that discovered a guy named Julius Irving was a guy named Howard M. Garfinkel. His
Really?
write-up on Dr. J's, I wish I had it, but his write-up on the HSBI report, the High School Basketball Illustrated
Sure, I
that
remember it.
Garf
Yeah,
started, and then Tom Kachowski came along. But
sure.
Garf rated Julius Irving. So Julius Irving goes to UMass. Nobody knows who UMass was back then.
Nobody knows who he is. Not only that, but there's a story where the the sports writer Rudy Martzke was the GM
Yeah,
of the Indiana Pacers. No, I'm sorry, the Virginia Squires
right.
in the ABA,
Mhm.
and something like Bob Costas is their play-by-play guy or something like that.
Right, St. Louis
And and
Spirits.
and right, and I guess the owner calls up Rudy Martzke and says, "What's with the Jewish guy? How good's the Jewish guy?" Because he thought his name was Irving. So he
Right.
thought Irving. So he's like, "What's with the Jewish guy?" And Martzke said something like, "Well, we had to take the Jewish guy off the court because we were afraid he was going to get hurt." But Martzke was like, when Dr. J came to camp, they thought he was a white Jewish guy,
Right.
and then he comes to camp because his last name's Irving, so he comes to
Right.
camp. And they're like, "Where's the Irving guy?" And I go, "That's him." And then after like 3 possessions, they're like, "Well, get him off the court. You're going to get hurt with all these rookies out here." And that's the legend of Julius Irving. Um, but one of the things, like,
Oh, and then
let's
I want to mention this. Okay, the other thing that helped me as a kid was USA basketball used to be um what I forget the initials or whatever it used to be, the precursor to USA basketball. They moved their headquarters to Colorado Springs when I was a kid.
right.
Okay. It was used to be called ABA USA. Okay.
Okay.
something
I
like
remember,
that.
yeah,
All right.
heard of that. Yeah.
Okay. The director of that was a guy named Bill Wall. And Bill Wall,
Sure.
Bill Wall was the director. Um,
For a
and
long time.
yeah. Bill Wall let me come to his office. He had uh just millions of things on basketball in his office. The guy would let me stay in his office for hours and hours as a kid. And
So you end up just eating up information.
yes, then and later on, a guy Nick dubbed me the Minister of Information. Jay
Well,
Ball, the football coach at Omaha Central, called me the
I,
Minister of Information.
I believe that's true. Both consequential information and inconsequential information.
Right.
So well, let's go.
So
Let's get deep.
with that, so I got to see all they used to host uh adult AAU basketball back then, and then
Right.
they bring in teams from like Canada would be there. There'd be some international teams. I got to meet um from Canada. I got to meet Jack Donahue, who coached Lou Alcindor at Power Memorial. Okay. And I got to meet all these famous. I got to watch this Jay Triano play basketball, who's very good.
Great player.
And the Canadians taught me that the shot clock would be good for uh college basketball back in the 70s. Okay, the Canadians they would always tease me about that. Um, you know.
And you tease them about the trapezoid lane, and then the discussion
Yeah.
is over.
Okay. So I'm introduced in the late 70s and 80s because the Olympic team got to practice there. The Olympic team got to practice there. Uh, and I'm exposed to the Olympic team, and Dave Gavitt and Larry Brown are coaching the team. Okay. And I got to be friends with a guy, I think he's your favorite player and my favorite player, a guy named Isaiah Thomas.
It's the best.
Now, Isaiah Thomas, pound for pound, there's nobody like Isaiah
Best.
Thomas.
Nobody. I've said this on the show before. In the history of basketball, he's the greatest 6-footer to ever play.
Easily.
I don't even think it's close. I don't think it's close.
No.
And
He did it to
there's
people.
no.
You know,
Huh?
he did it.
To her.
Yeah.
There's no other team that built a championship team around a guard
Right.
before that. You know, like you end up building it around Jordan, but he won a lead guard. Like what? Like they didn't build around Kuzi. They didn't really. I mean, they didn't win till they built around Alcindor in Milwaukee.
Right.
So you could build around Oscar all you want, but until you get that guy, you're not going anywhere. You could build around Isaiah, and he plays with essentially no other Hall of Famer almost his entire career.
Right.
Like, I mean, Dumars turns into a Hall of Famer, I guess. Is Dumars in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Lane Beer's not a Hall of Famer.
Right.
Mahorn's not a Hall of Famer. Robin's not a Hall of Famer.
Right.
I mean, they're pretty good players now. Vinnie Johnson, James Edwards. I mean, they built around Isaiah, who wins a national championship.
Yeah.
As a sophomore.
And then what's amazing that people don't know is Isaiah Thomas leads us to a Pan American gold medal. He was the gold in high school.
Yeah.
He was a high school.
Oh, right. I mean, he's the best 6-footer.
Yeah.
Like even now Steph Curry's got 3 inches on him.
Yeah.
And so before I want to get an X and O, but I also wanted to talk to you about this one thing. And it was something I was thinking about the other day. I was going to call you about it, and I forgot to call you.
Right.
When Bird and Magic were playing,
right,
everybody wanted to be like Bird and Magic, so they just throw it all around, pass it and everything. And then Jordan comes, and everybody wants to be like Mike. So I would always tell our guys, beware the kid number 23, whoever comes in your gym,
Right,
because he's wearing that uniform because of Mike. He's gonna take some crazy shots and not gonna
right,
pass it as much. And that usually turned out to be true.
right,
And then, like Elijah Wan and Shaq and like Tim Duncan, like that kind of brings everything back from Jordan. And so
right.
you recover. And then here comes Steph Curry. And as Jordan kind of in a crazy way destroyed basketball a little bit for a
Yes,
while, Steph Curry has irrevocably damaged basketball.
right.
I'm not sure we ever recover from Steph Curry.
No,
Like
I don't
with
think we
Jordan,
ever
we could
will either.
recover, right? We will never recover from
We'll
Steph.
never recover.
He's so great, he destroyed basketball as we
Yeah,
know it.
yeah. We'll never recover.
It's not it's not even an analytics thing, because the guys over here, my two guys over here, they know my feelings on analytics. And I always get a kick out of the analytics guys who always say, well, when the Warriors take this shot, yeah, I'm like, dude, what happens when the Vancouver Grizzlies take that shot? What
Right,
happens when the Knicks take that shot? How about
right.
when the Detroit Pistons of 2024? Give me your analytics with them. You know what I mean? Like, you're never going to go, well, Kate Cunningham shot this shot. You're never going to do that. So analytics, the utopian analytics that you and I have talked about before, I believe that analytics is just as much personnel based as it is
Right,
mathematically based.
right.
Because your math can work out utopian wise. But if you and me are shooting the ball, Herb,
Yeah,
our math is hypothetical,
yes,
right?
right,
Like, it's just like, that's utopia that we're never going to get. So
right,
they always point to like Golden State. They never point to the Knicks, or they
right.
never point to Detroit of 2023. Let me see what your analytics say about that, because they shoot some bad
Yeah, but
3-point shots.
the Nostradamus of basketball, Howard Garfinkel said that the 3-point shot will ruin basketball.
Yeah, I heard Coach Knight say it too to me.
Yeah,
100%. And honestly, it took a while, but there was going to be a guy who was going to be as great as Steph,
yeah,
as dominant as Steph, who was just going to destroy it.
right,
And now you got guys walking in the gym, they just shoot 35 footers.
right.
And we're never getting that back. But we'll okay, so let's go back. Let's go to X and O, Herb.
Okay.
I think we'll get back.
Okay,
I'm watching.
and then I wanted to, before I forget,
Yeah.
in 1975 or 76, the only camp I ever went to in my whole life was run by Larry Brown, and Larry Brown was one of the greatest teachers ever
He
when he
was
was in the
playing at the
Nuggets.
time, right? Was he
Yeah.
still playing at the time?
Huh? No,
Was
he
he
wasn't.
playing
He's
at the
just a
time?
young
He was
coach
already
then.
coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the quotes that stuck out to me at camp was, if you give it up, you'll get it back. Passing. Passing
that's right.
stuck with me. I love passing from there. If you give it
That's
up,
right.
you'll get it back.
That's right. And a lot of kids don't get that because
And then and that's why I want to mention that my falling in love with the game was due to the Knicks, the '86 Celtics, uh, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson.
right.
Their passing made the game,
Well, fun to
people love the
watch.
game the best.
Fun to watch. Better to play. It's hard to play with that guy who takes 32 dribbles in the 24
Right.
second shot clock era. It's hard to play with that guy. And
Right.
before actually, again, before I go to X and O, I just want to, in case people wonder, I think I mentioned this on the show last year, maybe, that there were guys when the kid Jackson from Kansas was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Remember?
Yeah, and when me and you were the only ones that said Tatum will be.
Well, I actually wrote Tatum and got your support on the Tatum, but we
Yes,
got killed on that,
we
Herb.
got killed. We got killed.
I said Jason Tatum was so much better than Jack. I'd never draft Jackson for Tatum. And everybody
Right.
looked at his athleticism and just went, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Jackson is ridiculous.
Yeah,
And then
right.
even one guy's like, I take the other Jackson playing at Carolina before I take Tatum.
Yeah.
What? Tatum's a
Yeah.
stud. You guys have no idea what you're watching. And then all of a sudden he blows up in the NBA, and now everybody wants to say, "Well, I knew that." No, you
No,
didn't.
they didn't know that. They didn't know that.
We got you on record. Remember
We
that?
know we
Even
got receipts on
I
that.
got abused. We got receipts. I got abused.
Right.
So we're on the Tatum bandwagon. But here's my thing. I was watching just on the 25th. I was watching the Celtics were playing somebody, and it must have been like 5 or 6 possessions in a row that nobody set a ball screen in the half court. And I thought, are we getting out of that now? Are we working our way out of the everybody ball screen, or we're not doing that? Like you still turn on the NBA and a ball screen, but are we getting away from this? Like, is it like I couldn't believe what I saw really? Because from an XNO standpoint, whatever mismatch, this is my argument, whatever mismatch you're trying to create on the ball, I can create off the ball.
Correct.
Why would I bring more defense to the
No,
ball?
you bring
You know,
people to the you bring too many people to the ball. And then
Herb, I can
high
only
school, in the high school and in college, they can zone up behind the ball against the pick and
right.
roll. So it's so what somebody would give me a nice compliment the other day online. I just read it by saying, don't study the college and pro coaches doing this stuff. Study guys that can teach at the high school. So the guy said, Herb can teach you the high school stuff. Stay away from the Caliparis and the Nate Oates and the Steve Kerrs.
Well, they're all preparing pros.
Yeah,
They're preparing guys to play pro basketball, which
basketball.
is
Yeah,
all just off screen. And
yeah,
so, and now all of a sudden you get all these European things online where
yeah,
they're off ball screening, or you get, or they'll drag up some, you know, Bob McKillop video
right,
and watch some off ball stuff where he'll screen the screener,
right.
that kind of thing. And the what's old is new. Is that what am I
Yeah,
witnessing
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Or
yeah. What is old is new.
so
But
like
I'm just amazed at like the the Nova Southeasterns and the West Liberties
yeah,
and the Gannon
most
now.
people,
Yeah,
yeah, most people don't know what you're talking about. There's a large Division 3 fan base that
Division
watches
Two.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's Division 2. But I'm saying there's a large Division 3 fan base that watches this podcast, and
yeah,
but the Nova Southeastern and West Liberty have dominated Division 2 basketball for, well, let's say this, between those two
since
programs,
2006, 2007.
yeah, which have basically been coached by the same guy. And when he left when he left West Liberty, his guys took over. He's basically had somebody in a Final Four. Is it fair? Almost every year.
Yeah, yeah, in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, Jim Crutchfield,
Yeah,
like one of the best coaches nobody knows.
right.
Oh, one of the best coaches
And
ever,
he's the winningest
actually.
coach percentage-wise of all time, no matter what
He's
level, over 10 years.
hit, and he just watching his teams play is ridiculously fun. They're
Yeah,
just fun to watch because they play the right way. They
yeah,
get up in you. They get up in you. They run the ball. They're good in all 3 phases: offense, defense, special teams.
yeah,
Their recovery on a break, their break is just they constantly pressure you for 40 minutes.
right,
Not like Arkansas did, when Nolan had
right.
them, but like or VCU thinks they're doing or wherever he is now, Shaka. But
Marquette.
Crutchfield, where is he?
Marquette.
Marquette. Crutchfield does it on both sides of the floor.
Right.
Like he pressures you on offense and on defense.
Right, right. Okay,
You are
so we're me and Will Ray. There's an old coach, because it all comes back to old coaches. They learn it from, right? There's a guy named, and I got to send this to you, Harold. That the articles on a guy named Torchy Clark that coached in Central Florida and
Right.
University of Central Florida, went back when they were Division II. His sons were really good players, and he coached in Wisconsin high school basketball.
Okay.
He had ridiculous numbers, just like Crutchfield did. Okay, and he was saying, like you say, you gotta, and it all kind of does with Ralph Miller that they're playing faster.
Sure.
It's Ralph Miller's thing about being pressure all the time,
Right.
pushing the
But
ball at somebody and pressuring
right. That's
defensively.
what people think. People think pressuring the ball, pressuring all the time, just means on the defensive side of the ball. But when
No,
you're pressuring,
offensively is pushing the
yeah,
ball. He
and
said
that
that your opponent, he was kind of Torchy was before Paul Westhead in this sense is that we read a quote that's sent to me by Will Ray's son last night, pushing the ball back within 3 seconds to get a score once your opponent scores. So you're pressuring all the time.
Coach, who do we
right,
have on the show who brought up pressing on offense?
who brought pressing on offense
Was that
Scott
was
Davenport.
it was it Scott
Davenport? I think it was Davenport. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bruce. I think Bruce Pearl has
Bruce
it the
also.
same.
Yeah.
Bruce, like I'm not like I told Bruce. I'm not sure I agree with him. Like, but I get his point where he's like, if you get that first look, you take that first look, and I'm kind of like, I'd rather in the long stretch of the game, like in a macro view, I want to reverse the ball as much as I can each possession.
Yeah, and then see,
I
even Crutchfield doesn't believe in chuck and duck.
Right. No, he does
He doesn't.
reverse the basket.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah,
He
he does.
reverses the basket.
No, there's no run and gun, chuck and duck.
No way.
Hey,
He's
but
still
they get the
scoring 100,
ball up the floor fast,
and they
and
score 100 plus.
yeah,
But then they make you play. You have to play through screens. You have to
Yeah.
deal with their penetration. He'll post guys up. Like he's the back to the basket game is sadly disappearing.
yeah,
And a lot of that has to do with Steph, honestly, and the
Yeah.
analytics guys. But I still think the best way to beat you if you have size is to attack your size.
yeah.
Like I'm going in the post and I'm coming after you, and if I get you 2 or 3 fouls, Yeshiva just had a game the other night. I mean, the best player on this Hope team.
Well, you're talking Quillen?
Yeah,
Or
some
Brink?
was he about 6'9"?
One of them, yeah, 6'9", one of their better players, yeah.
Well, I mean, he's the matchup difficult player.
Yeah,
Let's
for
put
us,
it that way.
for your
So I
Shiva,
view that as the best player.
Yep.
I view that as the best player, Herb, the guy you're going to have the hardest time to match up with.
I got
So
you.
the nerd in the crowd starts telling me, "Well, this guy has 26.2 points a game."
Well, Coach, I'm
But
viewing
this
it.
guy-
I'm viewing it on a national level, not on a yeshiva level. When I'm
Yeah,
talking,
whatever. Shut up. He's the hard. He's the yeah, Herbie. That guy's the hardest matchup because he's 6'9". He can play inside, outside. He can play with his back to the basket. And we didn't. And Yeshiva didn't have the size to guard him. But what they did have was got him in foul trouble.
Right.
And that's the. And analytics doesn't necessarily address foul trouble.
Right.
They prefer that you don't play back to the basket with that kind of thing. Like I'd rather get deep into your bench. I'd much rather play the guy behind him than him.
Right.
The guy behind him is an easier matchup. Doesn't have the same perimeter skills. Doesn't have the same footwork. You know what I mean? So like, where I disagree with that whole analytics thing is let's pound the ball inside and let's find out if I could get you in foul trouble. I'm going to do that. Why wouldn't I do that? Like from an X and O standpoint, why wouldn't I attack the big who's going to give me a problem?
Right.
And by doing that, just get him in the foul trouble. And now all of a sudden, I don't have to deal with him for the next 8 minutes, and I can make myself a run. And that's essentially what happened in Yeshiva State in the game. A lot of the reason for that was he was gone probably by the 15, 14-minute mark with 4, and then he comes back in the last 5. But I don't have to deal with him in that 9, 10-minute stretch, and I can play now. Like even though the other big's coming in, and he's also a Mama Duke, but he don't got that guy's skill set.
Right.
And basketball, I mean, I don't know. They don't do that anymore, Herb.
No.
Like they
don't have that mindset.
Right. So us dinosaurs, I still think there's a way to play. I mean, there's a reason why guys like your boy was at Fairfield, Tobin. There's reasons why guys like that win. Tobin Anderson. He's doing
FDU,
it because he's.
not Fairfield, coach.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, FDU.
He's at
Yeah, I knew it
Iona
was,
now.
yeah, amazing. He owns a college. So you get that pop. I mean, he's walking in the kids going, "Hey, I'm
Right.
Anderson. I own a college." And they're like, "You own a college? Oh my god!" So Tobin, but guys who are running off-ball movement, Dusty May, guys who are Chris Beard, guys who are running off-ball
Chris Beard's
movement,
undefeated right now.
the people don't even pay attention to it.
No, nobody's saying anything. Nobody's saying
I
anything,
mean,
Harold.
not only that, but
Nobody's
the
saying
girl
anything.
retracted her. The girl retracted her whole story on him too. So
Yeah.
like, I'd like to be Texas Tech going, what? We did what? We
Yeah,
did.
no, Texas.
I know. He went to Texas,
That's
right?
it. Yeah, and then that's when she
Texas
accused
is like,
him of
well,
all that stuff, and
I mean, with all due respect, wasn't Rick Barnes at Texas for a while?
yeah,
And you couldn't handle. I love Rick, but you couldn't handle what Chris Beard was doing.
yeah,
Sorry, inside drink. Anyway, like nobody's paying attention to Chris.
no,
He's just, all he's doing is winning her. That's
yeah,
like, but there's a reason that off-ball guys who preach off-ball, like Jay Wright, like off-ball guys. Now, Chris uses a ball screen. I don't know. If your ball screen's coming in the midst of your movement, I get it. If your ball screen's coming as like, we're coming up here, set that ball screen. Everybody sees that. You know what I mean? That's like
right,
everybody.
no,
I see that every night. But
yeah,
if I throw the ball to the wing and I was coming over there, set you a back screen, and you catch it on the wing, I can either go away or I'm over here anyway. Just use me as a screener.
right,
Now I could use that ball. I mean that ball screens through
right.
our movement. But if you over here, I got ball screen here and a ball screen here, and you could choose either way. Come on, man. You don't
Yeah.
think I've seen that every night?
Okay, and then so it isn't like in high school. It isn't like Stockton and Mark Price are delivering for layups to Karl Malone and to Brad Doherty.
Right.
You
Right.
see
That's
that
exactly right, Herb.
everybody thinks it's those guys. There's nobody deliver. And then what can the kid in high school do that can't make a catch and make a play off the pick and roll? So why are you running pick and roll? They just they the masses are cookie cutter coaches.
Right. And that's
That-
one,
that's
a friend of mine was saying, I'd just love to see a high ball screen for this guy or this guy. We can get this guy and this guy isolated through our movement on the side after we reverse the ball a little bit, and we'll get the same penetration that we would, if not a better kind of penetration than that high ball screen.
right.
I hear what he's saying. I just think we could get it in a different way that will ultimately lead us to more buckets. In other words, a high ball screen, while it, in a pros, whatever it happens, will have diminishing return as the game keeps going.
Right.
Understand? The reversal penetration will be constant because you'll never know when it's coming.
Right.
Always know when that high ball screen's coming.
Right.
And again, I can't think of any other thing besides the screen pass in football where you bring more defense to the ball, where it's a good thing. I just can't think of that. Herb, what's your I'm gonna let you go in a minute, but what's your favorite offense? So like you've seen them all. People, I'm gonna say this for you. People don't know Herbie is an encyclopedia of offenses, defenses, and screen games. And
Coach, you got to ask the question then on both sides of the ball. Then you can't just ask what his favorite offense is.
I'm fixing to do that. Just calm down, Pop.
Okay.
I'm kind of an expert on where my words need to go. You know what I'm saying? Herbie, what's your all-time favorite offense and why?
Okay, my favorite offense of all time is I would say I'm a Dean Smith, Doug Moe Larry Brown, Bobby Knight,
Passing passing game.
passing game, and passing
Because-
game.
And that goes back to the Knicks.
Yeah, and I love the pass. So I love the pass just as much as Scott Davenport loves
Yeah.
the pass. I love the pass just as much. And
Okay, and what's your
so
I know.
sharing the ball,
Uh,
sharing,
Hold on before we
sharing.
before we get to your must do's or whatever that list, by the way, you're gonna have to cut them down a couple because we only had this isn't an all night podcast. But hold on, Herbie, what's your favorite defense? I think I know the answer.
Okay, so
But
I'm full court. I'm full court, man to man, and I'm staying man because keeps
run and jump,
responsibility.
run and
Um,
jump.
and then I run and jump and the double. But the secret sauce, and I'll probably get in trouble for this. Your podcast probably goes all over the world, but I think the secret sauce now, I always thought was the missed shot press from Crutchfield. That's part of
Right.
it. The number one thing in his defense is, Ralph Miller talked about constant pressure, offense and defense. I think their number one thing that you have to do if you're going to play like the way I like to is face guard. Make it near impossible to get the ball in on the full court, three-quarter court, uh, sideline out of bounds, half court, and then quarter court, baseline out of bounds play, baseline
Baseline out
out
of
of bounds.
bounds.
And so what I'm saying is put a guy on the ball. Okay, it's the only
Facing the ball,
situation. Yeah,
facing the ball, Herbie.
you're guarding the inbounder every one of those situations. Guarding the inbound,
Is
and
all
then you're face
is all face
guarding,
guard.
and everybody else is face guarding. It's where you have the advantage 5-on-4. And so the only thing that, like, in the full court anyways, is if they bring four across, then that's the only time I would take the guy off the inbounder and put him behind and still face guard the four guys across the free throw line.
Are you is your ass to the inbounder, Herbie, on that underneath?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're just not letting you. And then from this Torchy Clark, we've been
I'm gonna
reading.
just throw it. What keeps me from throwing it off your ass for a layup?
No. I mean, this is in the. Oh, because we got the guy on the ball
I'm
on
saying,
the
is the
thing,
guy
and
on the ball facing the
he's
inbounder?
facing he's facing. We're guarding the inbounder. He's facing
He's
the
facing the
the
inbounder.
the inbounder. Everybody else
Right.
is the face guarding.
Right. Because like I'm always like, if you
I'm
ever see a guy,
trying to on each of those things. Um, I'm
if you ever
trying.
see a guy,
Yeah,
Herbie, if you ever see, I would tell my kids, if you ever see a guy with his ass to you, throw it off
yeah.
his
And then
ass
you
for a layup.
throw it off of them. But
Yeah, we get that a lot.
yeah. But I'm just saying, in all situations that are out of bounds, make it living hell to get the ball in the bounds.
Right.
Okay. And then I've really read this Torchy Clark and now Crutchfield and Jordan Fee and all those guys. I'm saying that's the secret sauce. Do not
Yeah.
wear those guys out. Is in Torchy Clark talks about practicing 7-second denial of getting the ball in bounds. 7
Right.
seconds.
Sure.
So
That's the
go
slippage.
over
Right.
the thing
That's
and
the slippage.
and
Sure.
and that. And
We
so
we talk about it here on the podcast about, you know, great coach once told me, if you want to guard for a minute for 30 seconds, you got to practice for a minute
yeah,
because you're going to get a 50% game slippage.
right.
And that's basically what Torchy Clark is talking about. Like,
Yeah. And
guard
then I'll
for
send you a
7, if
bunch
you
of
want 5,
I'm gonna send you a bunch of stuff
that'd
so
be
you read
great.
about
That'd be
Torchy
great.
Clark.
And I won't share it with anybody listening on purpose because
On purpose.
I'm selfish like that. But Herbie, do you okay, on the Steph thing, you don't see it ever swinging back, but do you see basketball like I think I'm seeing more off-ball movement. You think that's making a way back? Your
That's making a
passing
comeback.
game?
Everything, like my high school coach said, used to cycle back. Cycles
Yeah.
back.
So you think we're just going through a tough
Okay.
spot right
Yeah,
now?
yeah. And it's like right now, I think that they make it easy for those teams that press or whatever. They make it easy that people don't look to run a missed shot fast break anymore. You tell me who runs the best missed shot fast break in basketball right now. I don't think their missed shot fast break is in existence. Either the numbered break or the Red Auerbach John McClendon playground fast break. Nobody's looking to run on a missed shot.
Right. No
Nobody's
one's
putting
looking.
pressure on the defense. There's no Roy Williams anymore doing that.
No,
You
I
know,
think
running
I think
like that.
John Wooden did that,
Yeah, they wouldn't
right?
on a missed shot, running, push the ball up the floor, fill the three
Yeah.
lanes, or even the
Sprint to
number
the
break,
rim.
Harold. Harold, do you see
Sprint
anybody
to the
even
rim.
running in the
No,
number break? Uh,
America's play. No. You
no,
get
no,
right into America's play off
there's
the
nobody
press.
looking to fast break anymore.
Why do you think that is, Herb?
I think they're joystick coaches. I think
Yeah, there you
they
go.
don't
We
trust their
talked about
players. They
Yeah, we
don't
talked
trust their
about
players.
they gotta call every possession.
And by calling everything, Harold, that thing that it's about them and not about the kids.
Yeah, I think I've talked about it here a little bit. I think you have to trust your stuff. And if you're a good
Yeah,
teacher, just trust your teacher. Like
yeah,
right now, I have a team where I don't trust my stuff and I don't trust my team because we're
right,
just too little. We're like I'm starting a junior, a freshman, and three sophomores.
right.
I probably should start two freshmen and two sophomores, but you know, I'm learning the hard way. But in the
Okay,
meantime, and so I'm just playing against seniors and juniors. So you know what that's like. You're just
so,
going to get
yeah,
beat up a little bit. That's just the way
right.
it is.
I wanted to ask
Unfortunately,
you one more thing before I know you
yeah.
got to let me go. Okay, so I'm one of the few believers that USA basketball and the United States of America basketball, two different things. I don't believe that we develop basketball anymore.
No,
I think
no,
they're
because Steph
it's
killed.
horrible for the game, and
I
greed
think
and
it.
money has destroyed this.
Right, right. I think it happened before, and like you hear guys like Tracy Murray and Kobe, may rest in peace, used to talk
Yeah,
about it. Just how bad the AAU system has destroyed the
yeah,
fundamentals of basketball in America,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's why you get all the Europeans coming over, and they grow up in a
yeah.
in a in a a 6 and under, 8 and under, 10 and under, 12 and under, 14 under, 16, 18 system.
Yeah.
So when you go to another country, if you grow up where Ricky Rubio grew up, you had to go through the system.
You're right.
If you grow up in Israel, you go through the system. If you grow up
Right.
in Germany, you go through the system. You have to play 12U to, but you're in that program. Like with us here, you just like get the highest bidder. You go play for that guy. You play 8 games a day, 5 games a day. You don't work on your game, but in those systems, you play. Here's the difference between Europe and America. In America, you play 5 games a week, practice one game, one
Right.
time a day.
And
One time.
that's what I'm saying
And and in
is there
Europe, you practice 5 days a week and play one game a week.
and the other thing I say in America is there's no such thing as inner city basketball anymore. No such
No,
thing.
no,
They've
no.
they're okay, and what they're doing, in my opinion, they're eliminating um our jobs from our players here in America, and they're eliminating black basketball players systematically, like they did in baseball in the 70s. Look at how many black baseball players there were in the 70s. They're
Right.
eliminating it. The Europeans they're coming over and taking these guys' job. Nobody's talking about it. And I'm not talking about the elite players such as Steph and Durant and and
Yeah.
those guys. I'm talking about everybody else. They're taking jobs because we don't teach and work our players out. We have
Right,
the
and I think
we
and I
have
think Herb,
the
that's because we play 5 times a week and practice once.
right,
And in
right.
Europe, they practice 5 times a week
Yeah,
and play
so
once.
so yeah, so the we have like all the raw materials, but we don't develop the raw materials anymore.
We don't have construction workers. Yeah.
Okay.
Herbie, I could go on with you as
Yeah,
you
I
know,
know we could
probably
talk forever.
for another 5 hours. So I can't do that. I have to we have to address something else, but you're
Okay,
welcome to
yeah.
stay for it. You're welcome to stay for it. But
Oh, thank
it's
you.
a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show. And
Oh,
these two guys here with me, and
yeah,
I'm sure everybody listening has no idea who you are, but
right,
people in basketball know who you are.
right,
And that's to me, I'm a basketball guy in basketball.
right,
So having you on the show is a
right,
huge
right.
thrill for me. I loved having you, Herbie. Thank
Yeah,
you for coming on and
thank
doing
you.
this.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
Happy New Year.
Thanks. Happy New Year.
There's our other producer. He's the zero over there.
We can't see
Oh,
him.
Sorry,
is that an
Coach.
O for Oren?
I
Is that
pulled
an
over on
O?
the highway to show you
Is
how
he
much I
is he
value the
related to
show.
Marty Glickman?
I'm
No,
not related to Marty Glickman, but I get that question a lot.
Marty
but he's
Glickman, a
good.
great friend of Howard M. Garfinkel's.
Sure,
That's
sure.
right. But
I've read up on his biography several times,
Yeah,
Herb.
yeah.
he's Herbie. He was a good play-by-play like Marty Glickman. This one right
Oh,
here.
great.
Oh yeah, he could do it. He could hash it a little bit.
I'm a
little
has-been though, Coach.
Okay.
Nah,
All right. You guys
are.
have a great day. Thanks for having me
Herbie,
You
on.
too.
thank
Thanks so
you.
much,
Have a
Herb.
great
We really
holiday.
appreciate it.
Thanks for
All
coming
the
on,
best
man.
in the year ahead.
Says the non-voice guy. Says the non-video guy.
No, I do
All
want
right,
to
well,
thank
anyway.
Pop for stepping in to bring in Herb. Really appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. I pulled over now, so I'm ready to do the rest of the show.
Well,
Unless
now that you
there's
pulled
nothing
over,
else to.
now that you pulled over, put on your video.
Pulled
Yeah.
over. Put your face on.
All right.
Can you do that, Oren?
Yep.
You able
Hang
to
on
do
one
that? He
second.
doesn't want. He wants to see his Pinto. He doesn't want to see.
All right, sideways
go.
or in, or sideways.
Not for me. Not for me.
Uh,
We've got.
yeah.
We've got.
So we wanted to.
Oren,
address-
put your phone sideways. Come on, you're an you're a veteran. There you go.
Sorry.
There you go.
So I think we wanted to address hope, and we wanted to address second
Yeah.
half of the season thoughts. Correct?
Yes.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay.
Anyway, for me,
So-
that's a thrill because I love the history of basketball. So having Herb on here.
Oh,
with all
he
his
he
knowledge.
seems like a total guru, Coach, in a good way.
Herbie is the guru. Forget that. Herbie
Forget
is the guru.
he's wrong choice of words. He's the and not the not
He's the guru. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coach, we should also note that we have not done a show since Manhattanville, so really since the turning point of the season. We didn't do a
Right.
show from
Okay, you
Mount
wanna
St.
address
Mary, Mount St. Mary,
I'm on
Brooklyn.
your way.
Let's address
I'm on your
everything. This show's coming out on New Year, so people are going to have some time to watch. So might as well give them.
All right, so
If we
let's-
upload them right before the bowl games.
let's well, Manhattanville was kind of do we address Manhattanville or we didn't?
we didn't address it. No.
Well, it's not much to address. I mean, it was a disconnected basketball team on both sides of the floor, just like it was in the playoffs.
Last year, you're saying the playoffs they had them last year.
Yeah, and just disconnected.
Right.
And I do believe that was a turning point in our in NYU season. So
In a good way, though, right?
yeah, in a good way, because it makes you take stock of what you're doing and how you're doing it. We didn't defend. We didn't share the ball. We definitely didn't share the ball. You know, we reverted to some selfishness, and we ultimately paid the price for that. But it's to me, if you learn lessons from those games, you know, they end up being way better than you think they are at the time.
Right.
So we didn't play very well. I think we went to Mount St. Mary, right? Is that what we did?
We went to Mount St. Mary the next game. Yep.
beat them pretty good. Did we beat them pretty good? Did we struggle
Yeah.
through that for a little bit?
The only time we struggle
No.
against them, it seems to be games on Saturday night.
Well, this was on the road where we struggle there sometimes. No,
Yeah, but
it was
I
a
thought we
20
handled
point
it pretty
game.
good, right?
It was like 8 or so at half. Got it to like 15.
Yeah,
by
but there was no, it wasn't the thing like we weren't in control of the game. And I
Right.
thought there were signs that night of us turning the corner a little bit. Like we were starting to do things right, and guys were starting to get it. Remember, there's not a lot of games under their belt. You know, you have, it's a very, as I think, was it Simcha Halpert who told you that, Pop, that it's a very steep learning curve,
Yeah.
and it takes you a
Yeah,
while to get in.
it's not an excuse. It's just a fact.
No, it's not an excuse. It's just a fact. And Ryan said the same thing. Like he didn't really. He told my guys on a Zoom call during COVID that it took them at least a year to figure out what we were trying to do, and it took them a little longer to do it. Like so we got guys who are now doing that. I think Max is figuring it out. I know Zeby's figuring it out. Dotan's figuring it out. I mean, they're Effie's starting to figure it out. So I think who did we play next? Brooklyn?
Immaculata.
No. He's saying
No,
who did we
who
play
did we
next
play?
after Mount St.
Oh,
Mary?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
yeah.
Brooklyn was next. So it was I think
Was it Brooklyn?
did they zone up also? Do we have 3 games in a row against zone?
They zoned up. They started out man to man, which surprised me. Then they zoned up a little bit. I don't think we did a very good job with that either. I don't think we handled the zone like we should have. But
Yeah.
You know, we started to figure things out, and then I think we play Long Island. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And that to
That
me,
was
that's
when
the
Max
turning.
and Zevi scored the.
Yeah, and
the
I
goal
think
towards the end.
sadly for us, Orr got hurt. But people don't get he's only played like 9 or 10 games, so it's hard for a guy who hasn't played a lot in the system to understand exactly what we're trying to do. He happens to have a incredible basketball IQ. He's an exceptionally gifted basketball player, and his learning curve may be a little more
Less steep.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, I don't know what the word is. Quicker,
Yeah.
but and it may indeed be valuable that he's watching this now, because he sees what other guys like Max are giving up to incorporate him in what we're doing.
Right.
So Max has proven he could go for 30 a night, and go for 30 a night and staying within what we're doing. Max isn't really doing anything outside of what.
Coach, in the last 2 games, he's 23 for 26 from the floor.
Well, I
Every
think it
single
happens.
shot he's taken has been an easy shot. He hasn't.
I think
He's not forcing anything. Also,
right, and that's what happens when you start to get it. I think when you watch Zebi, I thought this. So now we get to the Hope game. I think
They're
Hope came
a
in.
classy bunch, by the way. Hope.
Yeah, very much
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And they're a good basketball team. And they came in with the idea that we're not going to let them beat us from the 3. And they the number one.
And by the
guy-
way, it should be noted, Coach. Like coming into the game, their opponents were shooting 22% from 3 on the year.
What did we end up with that night?
35. So it was it was tough for them, but it was also lower than our average.
But
So.
they did a good job on Zebi in particular, and it was tough for them because they had to guard something they don't see, as obviously the coach alluded to. They don't see
Right.
what we do. And that's the other thing that everybody forgets. You know, you could go ahead and run that high ball screen and run that and run that and run that, but they don't see what we do. And to me, it's easier to prepare for the things you've seen than the things you have not. And so
Right.
we shoot
I mean, Coach,
35-1.
this is something which and you know when I was executive producer of Max Live, we always had meetings with coaches, you know, to learn about their teams and whatnot. And you know, we always asked for their thoughts on the Max, and something which every single coach said is how difficult it is to prepare for the Max, because
Right.
they don't see it otherwise. Even the conference coaches, where they see it every year, it's still difficult for them to prepare for.
Because you don't know what we're doing, because we don't know what we're doing. And that's the most difficult part. When you run dribble drive, we kind of know what you're doing. When you run, ball screen, we kind of know what you're doing. But you don't know what we're doing because we don't know what we're doing. And that's what makes it the most difficult thing to guard. So I think teams I think Hope, very talented, very good, extremely well coached. And one of the ways you know this is like, when they had that long break because they were trying to figure out the timeout situation.
Yep.
It's a 1-point game or something, and he comes out and runs high-low exactly like he should have. He was looking for a quick hit or something, and they said, "We don't get that. Let's run high-low." And you see it. Like they go right to that high-low and take advantage of the size because we got them settled down. It got to settle down, and we got them from having to make decisions on the fly. And they just say, what we're going to do? Let's get this possession. We're going to go pound it inside. And that is what they should have done. It's a sign of a well-coached team. And, they're good. They're top 30, top 25 caliber team in college basketball in Division III. So, this was no joke that with 1:14 to go, and you are minus 17 on the offensive glass, and you're minus 25. And at the time you were minus 18. With 1:14, it was a 2-point game. And you're minus 17 on the offensive glass. I would even argue you probably can't find, and I'm not talking about Grinnell now. I'm talking about a regular, normal basketball game.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't happen.
I bet you can't find
the only
5 games in the last 5 years where a team was within a bucket with a minus 15 or more on the offensive glass.
I'm gonna check. I remember Manhattanville beat Farmingdale a couple of years ago in the regular season, and it was in overtime, and it was something like that, something like minus 15. But I don't know if it got all the way up to mine.
Yeah, but I would also
never see it.
You have to incorporate what they did on. Like we had 3 offensive rebounds. So if they have 35 rebounds on a, if they have 30 offensive rebounds and we had 10, that's 20 potential points.
Outside of that, and I watch a lot of D3 too. You just don't see it. Like if you get smacked off the glass, you lose the game. That's just how it works.
How is why you wouldn't even? I would like to say that, like, I didn't think we were that bad defensively. We only played half possessions. Like the other, like you can't defend for half the possession. You got to close the possession out by rebounding, and we didn't do that. And that's why that's why we get beat. But I thought our offense carried us for 32 minutes of that game. Then the last 8, I thought we stopped throwing cutters, and we stopped hitting screens and hitting defenders on screens. And there were some things that we did that kind of, got us away from what made us successful. I mean, they're getting putbacks, and they're getting these offensive rebounds, and they're getting additional possessions, which in this case is like, 17 more possessions than you have. And yet it's a 2-point game. I mean, they got to walk out the gym going, damn, how did this happen? Like, how is this a game? How are we playing in the last minute and a half? How are we in the 2-point game and we're plus 25 on the glass? Like, how's that possible? And I think it was made possible because we executed and we started to get what we're doing on the offensive end, and we played that way. And I think we did enough defensively to stay in the game. We just didn't do enough defensively to win the game. But from an offensive standpoint, I'm really happy with where we are. And I get a sense. I mean, I don't want to say you, but you get a sense when you watch it. That what's so funny that
I thought that was funny, Len.
Yeah, you get it. You get a sense from watching it that we are like really close, and it's what you wait for when you start with freshmen, you wait for that moment and hope it comes freshman year. But we're still dealing with some of the remnants of that, like where we fake screen, we're screening air instead of screening bodies. Like we still deal with some of that remnant from last year and stuff like that. But I especially with Effie in particular, you could, Max, Dotan's been really good. Adi's been okay when he takes care of the ball. The only thing I would tell Adi and sometimes Dotan is singles are okay. You don't always have to hit doubles and home runs. So sometimes squeezing that back screen,
trying to thread the
pass,
needle off. Yeah,
into the eye of the needle, you're just as good throwing it to the wing, reversing the ball, and then going bucket and starting something else. And so we're getting there. It's even in a game like that, I wasn't really upset because look, bottom line is that game means nothing to us. Bottom line, it just lets us know that we can compete on that level if we fix our stuff.
Right.
And that's a fact. And so now we just have to know that if we continue to do that, we'll continue to get that kind of growth. If we continue to get that kind of growth, we'll continue to win. And we can, just because we'll keep running our stuff the way we're running it. And interestingly enough, I've noticed that the criticisms of our offense are a little few and far between today, don't you think? You hear it far less.
Haven't been seeing much of that lately.
Yeah, you hear it far less than we did say a year ago.
Yeah, but by the way, Coach, on
part of that,
just on the fact check, Farmingdale had 20 more offensive rebounds than Manhattanville in the game that I referenced, 26-6, and lost in overtime. But
right,
yeah,
so
other than that, I can't think of a single game.
how many times you see it? And what Farmingdale shoot from three?
Farmingdale was like 30 from the floor and like 25 from three, and Manhattanville was like 44 and 50.
Oh well, there you go. Right,
Yeah,
like they're
I know.
50.
That's how you make up a 20 offensive rebound.
Yeah, we didn't shoot 50 from three.
That's right.
We
Yeah,
shot
if we would have shot 50, we would have won the game. Yeah.
Right, but we shot 50 plus from two.
Oh,
And so, like the only way you can make that up is through turnovers from Farmingdale, lack of turnovers on your part, and making 3-point shots. So I'm just saying it's very rare. You're not really going to find it.
Yeah.
And especially with a non-conference opponent. See, with a conference opponent, you're a little knowledgeable of what they do. With a non-conference opponent, you're seeing them one time in a year, one time every 3 years, one time ever. So this is the first time we ever played them. Could you, 10 years ago or 9 years ago when we started to say, hey, we got to schedule all these teams, we'd have never thought we'd get Hope to come to us. We'd have never thought that. They're Division III royalty. We didn't never,
And also, it's not like it was a one-off because they were on a trip. Like they want Yeshiva to go back there.
Yeah, and which I think we're going to do. And
so this could become like a recurring thing, like Illinois Wesleyan.
Well, I think we're going back to Illinois Wesleyan. I think next year or the year after.
No, they're coming to us in 25-26, and then we're going there 26-27. But yeah, I think that's the hope. I don't know if it's every 4 years that it's home and home like Wesleyan, but the hope with Hope is that it's something.
But look, here's the thing. We've done enough to make ourselves nationally relevant, and the only reason they want to play, well, there's two reasons they want to play you. One, because we're unique in who we are and how we do things, and what we believe, and two, and how we behave, and two, because we're going to get a game out of it, and they're going to see something unique on the floor. Like, guys, we're not going to see offense like this, so let's put in the work to figure it out. You know what I mean?
No, it's almost like Yeshiva knows they're never gonna have for the rest of the conference season a game where they're getting out rebounded at the offensive glass 20-3. It's like, but
okay.
So it's not gonna happen. So it exposes you a little bit to where you need to work. You're not going to be as bad as that unless you get to the tournament potentially. And with Hope, it's just like Hope's not giving up 79 points on whatever shooting. They just don't do it.
Yeah.
They don't give up that
Well,
many
it should.
points.
Yeah, I think we got into a little bit of a rut with about 8 minutes ago. Like it should have been 5. You know, but our offense kept us in the game, and it kept us in the game basically the whole night. And we're starting to execute. We're starting to do things right. We're starting to be a little more patient. We're getting mature possessions, which we talked about a few weeks ago. And because of that, I think, you know, like those games mean nothing except they prepare you for your conference opponent. Like, with all due respect to Farmingdale, Manhattanville, we're just not going to see anybody like Hope in our league. And
Right.
At least in terms
they're
of what
good.
they bring. At least in terms of what they
Yeah, they're
bring
gentlemen.
size-wise.
I thought they were way better than Nichols.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yep.
and I thought they'd give NYU real issues if they ever played them.
Right.
I'm assuming that they just beat the smack out of whoever they played the next night. Was it Lehman?
Yeah, Lehman,
Who
they smacked them.
Yeah, like, you know, they came to New York thinking, you know, we're going to play some East Coast basketball. Let's beat the hell out of them, go home. And then they survived us and then smacked Lehman pretty good. They beat them by what, 20, 30?
Now it's like 35, but Lehman's not any good this year. They
Oh,
were
I get
they
it.
were good a couple of years ago. Then they graduated. They're 2 stars, and
I get it. They
Yeah.
came here for us. They added Lehman,
yeah. That's right.
right? So, I mean, that's kind of how that works. So I think the Hope trip, they were talking about Hope and like Whitworth or whoever else is over there.
No,
Right? Isn't there another school?
we were just nowhere near Hope. I think that
California, right? Is there another school out there?
the Hope, if you play Hope, is if you play Calvin too. The thing
Calvin.
is, yeah, Calvin's one of the other premier programs. The thing is, both of them don't play on Sunday, so if that happened, it'd have to be like a Friday.
Oh, is that true?
That's right. Yeah.
Wow. That's
So
so
it'd have to be,
interesting.
it'd have to be like Friday afternoon, Saturday night sort of
Right.
deal.
Right. Oh, that's so funny. No idea.
It's a doable proposition on a weekend like this. I'm saying, like you have a
Yeah.
weekend
It's
like
true.
this where
Like you play at noon on Friday, and then you
there's
play
no
8
classes,
p.m.
and then what that does, by the way, and which is why I would jump at that opportunity, is because that sets you up for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
You play on a Friday
back-to-back.
afternoon
Yeah.
and a Saturday night.
Right. Right.
You get to simulate everything about that entire weekend. Like, if you could arrange that, I would arrange it just like that.
Yeah.
Because then I know this is what it's like when we go to the NCAA tournament. And then we could do it the next week with someone else, say, you know, Illinois Wesleyan and somebody. Then you're really simulating it, that when you finally have a chance, you know. So it's cool. It's cool. Let's do it. What else you got?
Coach, shifting gears to the upcoming trip to Israel, do you think that has more to do with promoting goodwill and less so with basketball, or are there lessons we can take away from this upcoming trip that'll help us for the second half of the season?
I think basketball is totally secondary here. I think this is what our program is about. Our people are in trouble. We're fighting a war on 7 fronts, whether people know it or not. The entire world seems to be ganging up against us. The President of the United States just told us not to use planes anymore in a war. Are you kidding me? Like, so we're going there to show support. We're going there to obviously at least get a game or 2 in. And you're playing a professional basketball team in the 2nd division, so good luck with that. You know, we're bringing some guys home and going home to play, even like we would do with other guys when they were seniors. And more importantly, we're going there to help out, whether it's, you know, feeding people or boxing things or delivering things or just being there as support. I can't think of anything we could do as a program that would be more impactful than that. I just, it can't, you know, a lot of colleges can say they're about more than basketball. This is the actual be more than basketball.
Right.
I'm proud.
Right.
I'm proud to be associated with a program that does things like this.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with basketball, but we are, the basketball team is going as a basketball team. So,
But it also shows you
Yeah.
how basketball can lead up to
oh,
goodwill
sure. And
yeah.
of course, that bridge communities and, a lot of people in our community don't understand the value of it because it's not, Torah study per se, but it's the values of Torah study.
Right.
You know, um, how do you good character traits? Is that mitos? Would you say?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
like like the study of Torah without good character traits is like a tree without roots. That's from the Talmud. So this is part of, we have to do the right thing. This is doing the right thing, and it's awesome. I think it's so great. It's
Yeah,
so
and then
great.
and then after that you have two non-conference against Immaculata and Wesleyan, and then second stretch for Skyline.
Yeah, I just think if we continue to do what we're doing, and we're going to have to reincorporate Orr into some of it, and from Orr's behalf, he's going to have to be patient too, and just play the way he knows how to play, and ignore the noise, and just kind of he gets to see what everybody looks like when they're just playing for each other, because that's all this was. Nobody cared that Max had 30. Nobody cared that Zevi had 26. You know what I mean? Nobody cared. Let's just win. And that's when you're dealing with something pretty unique and special. And I like what our future looks like starting next week in Israel.
Yeah.
You know what I
Pop,
mean?
since this is a New Year's edition of the show, should we have coaches college football playoff predictions?
Let's run it.
Who's playing? Who's
Who's
playing?
playing?
Alabama, Michigan, and Washington against Texas.
Okay, well, Alabama, Michigan. Who the hell knows?
That sounds like a championship to you, right, Coach?
Right.
This
I'm gonna go. When did they play? They play tonight.
5
yes,
o'clock.
Five,
Yeah.
5 o'clock is the Michigan game.
The Rose Bowl game, yeah.
I know nothing about them. I just think it's Harbaugh's thing to lose. Right? Are they number one in the country?
They are number one.
Yes, it's the 1-4 game.
Yeah,
Correct.
they're if this is of any usefulness to you, Coach, and it probably isn't, they're 2-point favorite, and almost all the money is on Alabama. Meaning
Alabama's like the worst
meaning
4 team to get. Yeah.
all the
Yeah,
people betting are betting on Alabama.
Yeah, but look here though. Like, you're just dealing with Nick Saban. He's gonna be a tough out regardless. Nick Saban. But I'm rooting for Alabama. I think it's going to be Michigan. I know I haven't watched it down from either one of them dudes.
I'm sure. Especially
You're,
when
you're,
there's
you're
games
talking
on.
program.
Hey, look here. So I'm talking about college football the way straight out of my ass, like the way most people talk about college basketball.
No, the way most people talk about YU basketball.
That's
right.
Everything.
Right. I have no clue what I'm talking about, and I'm taking Michigan. Who the other two? Texas and who?
Texas and Washington.
Texas and Washington.
Is Mac Brown coaching at one of them joints?
No, that's how far behind we know you are.
Is he Longton's gone? Who's the three?
I think it's Texas. Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, Texas is in the Big 12, right? Are they still in the Big 12?
Yeah. Washington or Pac-12.
And Washington's still in the Pac-12 for another year.
Coach, I thought you were going to say the Pac-10.
I always call it the Pac-10. I always call it the Pac-10, dude. I only call it the Big 10. But I think isn't Washington moving to the ACC, or are they staying in the Pac-10 or whatever?
I thought they were staying, right, Pop?
Are they one of the ones staying?
Could be. There might. I don't know if they're staying. There's only a couple of them staying, but I'm gonna take Washington, even though I should take the team in the Big 12. No, I'm gonna take the team in the Big 12. I just think your conference
Wow,
play.
3-4
That's why-
national
that-
championships.
The conference prepares you for the
listen,
championship.
That's why I think the conference prepares you, and I'm worried
But-
about my Michigan.
But you're taking your ass.
We're
I'm about
about-
to say. That's what I was about to say. It's like you say the conference prepares you, and then you have Michigan over.
Yeah. But like, I mean, was the SEC, were they any good this year? Are they always good every year?
They're
Georgia
good
were
every
great
year.
up until the last game.
Yeah, Georgia's one of the top 4 teams in the country.
that's
They
true.
just lost to Alabama in the championship.
That's right. I don't know what
That's
the
how
hell
it
I'm
goes.
talking about. I'm not going to go back on either one. I'm going to go Michigan and what was the other one I said? Texas.
Texas,
Did I say
Michigan,
Washington?
and Texas.
then
Yeah,
I'm going Michigan and Texas. I was going to say
Coach,
Washington.
Coach, just cover all your tracks. That way, for the next show, we know that you got it right.
we can clip it. Like
Look here.
you can say
Look
I got
here.
Michigan, then you say I got
Yeah.
Alabama, and then we clip whichever one was wrong.
Well, look, I think your conference play prepares you, and the tougher your conference play. But Michigan had to deal with Ohio State, and Penn State was pretty good, right? Weren't they pretty
Right.
good until they got up the other?
They were a top 10 team.
And I just think all the things surrounding Harbaugh, and he got suspended and all that. Right? That was this year, right?
Yeah,
Where
That's
he got
happened this year. Yeah.
yeah. He'll be on the
that's why I
sidelines
think-
tonight, though.
But it's still Nick Saban, and they play in the SEC, and I'm probably an idiot for doing it, but I'm going to go Michigan. And then I think, even though I think it's going to be Alabama, and then and then I'm going to go Texas, but I kind of feel like Washington's got to play for the Pac-10 a little bit.
Yeah.
So, or I think I covered it.
Basically, if you're watching still, don't listen to Coach.
I know nothing. I readily admit I don't know.
Pop is
Readily
gonna
admit
cut
I
this.
don't know.
Pop is gonna cut this in a very sophisticated way.
I readily admit that I don't know anything about college basketball. I mean about
College football.
sorry, about college football. Although others would argue I know nothing about college basketball, but
Yeah.
college football. But at the same time, the habits of winning still remain the same. So if you
That's true.
if you have a
Right.
conference
That's true.
schedule, that's why I'm hemming and hawing on the Alabama Michigan thing. Like
Right.
a lot of times,
A lot of people are.
They take the team and they go, "Oh, he was in the Big Ten." Then Alabama comes in there and kicks Ohio State's ass, by 85 points or something like that. You know what I mean? Because dude, we're in the SEC, and that's where I'm leaning on this game. But because I'll regel achas, I'm 1 foot. I pick Michigan. I'm just going to stay with Michigan because I've talked myself out of Michigan, but I'm going to stay with them anyway. And then, and I think the same thing with Texas. I think Texas had to deal with the Big 12. Are they any good this year?
They had a
the
very
Big
good
12.
year. They beat Alabama, in fact.
Yeah, so I'm going with Texas. Screw 'em. I'm not taking
Texas.
Florida State.
You don't have to worry about that one, Coach.
Did they just lose by like 80 points?
Yeah.
They got denied a spot despite going undefeated.
Right. I think they said is there somebody else? If Michigan loses, I think they said, did Michigan lose this year already?
Nope.
No, they're undefeated.
Michigan's undefeated. So I think they
Yeah.
said if Michigan loses, then they should be the #1 team in the country.
Yeah, but
And then,
that
of
is
course,
only
they-
that was only if they beat Georgia, which didn't happen.
and they
Yeah.
lost by 60 points. So you really have no right to talk. What do you know? Anyway, that's it. That's my prediction.
That was probably one of the
Good
most
luck.
interesting college football playoff previews I've ever been involved in. Thank you, Coach.
Good luck following that. But I will say this: the habits of winning and coaching do not change. And if you believe in what you do and believe in your program and know how to teach and ignore the noise, you could do what the Rams just did, which was be 3-6, retool their entire roster, 23 players, almost half the roster is first or second year player, and they're going to the playoffs. The Rams.
Well, Coach,
Ignore the-
Saquon dropped that ball. Just saying.
You say what, dude. You say whatever you want. That kick returner, that punt return was tackled. First of all, return a punt against the Rams. Special team.
Yeah, and because
for a
of your
touchdown.
boys, Williams and Nakua, I lost my final in fantasy.
Too bad. You should have had Williams in the Nakua.
How was I supposed to know? Those guys
I
only came on the radar like a few weeks ago.
Nakua. I could have told you in the preseason. That's why.
Really?
I mean, yeah, dude, the Rams
Yeah, I
were
mean,
pimping him as soon as he got to camp. You know, he's a big boy, and he's
he
turned
went
out to
pretty
be a
late. I
stud.
think he went pretty late in our draft.
Probably went in the last round of your draft.
Yeah,
Some guy read or heard Peter Schwager talk about it or something. You know?
exactly. Or
But
Matthew
like,
Berry.
but like, but like, he's been on my fantasy team all year. The problem was I took Justin Herbert, and if you want to be an idiot, just listen to everybody. I mean, the Chargers are on
Well, that was
TV every
unfortunate.
freaking night for 14 weeks. Every time you turn the TV on in a primetime game was the stinking Chargers because of Herbert. And all he did was wet the bed all year. I'm sorry, I'm off that bandwagon. He's okay, but sorry, I like him, but I'll take Matthew Stafford right now. Just saying. Just saying. And you know what? Go on the road. You got to win a game. You got to make enough plays to win again. I never, until that punt return, I never thought the game was in jeopardy at all. The Rams game. Of course, they can't make a kick, so that's their first problem. But they're as lucky that Barkley dropped the ball as he did that Nakua dropped the ball on that one catch that he got overturned. And then on the fourth and whatever it was, somebody dropped a pass too, right? Nakua.
Yeah.
Like on the first drive of the game, Nakua drops the ball that kind of hits him in the chest and it goes through his hand. Like that's as lucky as the Barkley thing. And there's a reason Tyrone Taylor does not start in the NFL. Tyrod Taylor just had a good night. Rams allowed him to. But the habits don't change. Like, here's the deal. The Rams have been in playoff mode since the bye. So in playoff mode, it's survive in advance, dude. And that goes for every sport. It's just survive in advance. Middle of the game, my son had texted me something about Rams keep shooting themselves in the foot. I go, all you got to do is win the game by a point. Little did I know that they would win the game by a point. And I think with 7.5 to go, they want to run clock instead of throwing the ball. Martindale has had Sean McVay's number a little bit. So
Yeah.
bottom line, lose Rams, win Rams, go to playoffs. You say whatever you want. You take the Ravens to overtime and lost on a punt return. Right? The thing's only a game because of the punt return.
And you were not at that game. I want to clarify for our viewers. You were not there.
I was not at the game because I like being old and sitting in my old chair in my old
and getting a way better view.
And getting a way better view. So, and it was too cold and it was raining. I ain't doing that. I mean, I went the last time they were here when Odell Beckham caught that touchdown to win, but
oh wow.
Yeah, I knew we were going to Super Bowl that year. It'd be cool if we did it here, but I don't foresee that. Fact is, they got in the tournament, and everybody knows now it's a whole nother season, right?
Right. It's definitely a successful season now, regardless of what happens going forward.
Can you imagine they have the second youngest roster in the NFL? But and the difference between them and the Packers, I think, is that the Packers were still relying on veterans. When you look at the Rams, what's name got 2 sacks yesterday, right? Kobe Turner got 2 sacks yesterday. Williams ran for 3 touchdowns. Nakua ran for caught 100 and change.
Mm-hmm.
And rookie. There was one more who was pretty good. I mean, that's for rookie football. So I like my chances upon the Rams. It's a nice investment. And keep in mind, they've been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years. I'm just saying.
Well,
right?
My Giants had a down year.
When they go 18 or 19? When did they go? Patriots
it was
13-3.
No, it was
2018, 19, 20,
Well,
21.
against the Patriots was the 18-19 season.
Right. So they've gone
February.
twice.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
5 playoffs in the last 7. I don't know. That's pretty good for a team that was led by Jeff Fisher, Coach Ocho. You know why they called him Coach Ocho? Because the best he was going to do was 8-8. That's why he was called Coach Ocho.
The Ocho.
All right, guys.
Yeah. Well, first off, we want to thank Herb for taking time out of his New Year's to, come on our
Absolutely.
show. I want to thank you
Absolutely.
guys I want to thank you guys as always for having my back in terms of my situation. That's why we make a great team. Wishing all of you guys a great rest of your New Year's, and we'll see if coaches college football playoff predictions hold up. That does
Yeah,
it for
that's
this
what's up.
special. That does it for this special
You
New
know,
Year's
hey,
edition of the
you
Herald
guys
Cast.
know I'm in a you know I'm in the catbird seat. Whatever happens today, I was right.
You're right. You're
You
right.
get that?
That does it for this
Go ahead.
special edition episode of the Harold Katz podcast on New Year's. We'll be back with another episode in the coming weeks. And thanks so much, as always, to you guys for tuning in.